Hello, it's Annie here. I wanted to share with you a gift that I heard in a webinar today, and I'm going to uh, reference this and give the credit to Jeremy Hunter because it's the second time I've heard him talk about it. And he talks about the gift of uncertainty and fear. And he asked some questions. And the first question was, what do I need to let go of? And it was absolutely stunning because I've had fear coming in and out of my life in tsunamis in the last 3 years as I manage my grief over Anthony, my son, passing by suicide. And when that fear comes, we can make an internal story about it. You know, I could hear myself saying in the beginning when friends said to me, time's the greatest healer, which is the worst thing you can say to anybody, really. I would be saying my narrative in my head is nobody has it this bad. Nobody's got it as bad as me. You don't understand. And that was my resistance. And I kind of saw that very early on. But this fear that I feel, this anxiety, it keeps returning. And so I thought, I keep sitting with it. So I really listened today to the question, what do I need to let go of? Because that stuck place is very stagnant. It's a bit like having a stuck drain that you need to get the drain engineers around to unplug. Or it's a bit like, you know, you're throwing all the leftover vegetables and plants onto a compost heap. And everything grows from there. Everything grows, the fear grows, or the drain gets blocked. So what is it in my life with this fear that's returning that I'm trying to hold on to or to control? And so I always start with breathing. Because that gets me really present in the room. Present to the fear, present to me, present to the chair that I'm sitting in. And then Jeremy asked, what is my relationship with the future? Wow. Well, I'm telling you now, I don't even know if I've got one, or I didn't think I had one as he asked that question. And I thought it was only me, but there were 100 people listening. And he said, if it's bleak, how do you shift from this place? How do you shift from the fear compost or the blocked drain or the holding on to something, holding on to the fear? How do you move it? How do you create space for it? And I did a whole YouTube video on how to move beyond suffering that talks about this in great detail. So I'm going to breathe again because that gets me back into the present, just sitting with this somatic feeling in my body, this sensation of fear. What do I need to do that I haven't done yet? Oh, I have a shopping list of things I need to do. But I've got this narrative, this fear narrative that says you're too old. Who'll want to listen to you? Nobody will turn up if I do a webinar. Well, it's here now. I've said it out loud. I'm sharing my fears. But actually, I'm sharing the story behind it, and that's made up. So that fear, that emotion is getting in the way of action. And if you're in a fearful place, an anxious place, especially if you're facing the unknown, if you've got something that's happening in your family that's quite traumatic, something that's happening at work that's quite traumatic, then that emotion, that fear is huge. I know I'm speaking from experience. Mine seemed to be as big as the universe. at the time I was told about my son passing by suicide. Stay with this emotion of fear. That's the best thing you can do. Sit with it. Surrender to it. That doesn't mean give in or allow something horrible to keep happening. It means you're not holding on to the fear. You're not making it into a story. You're staying gently with that sensation of fear in your body. And it was funny because as Jeremy was talking, I thought, whoa, this feels less. It was beginning to dissipate and dissolve. And I'd woken up with it this morning, so I was quite pleased it was going. Because you see that in my coaching, when people have fear and suffering and anxiety and other intense emotions, they're really worried about them. They're really scared about them. Intense emotions, we don't really want to feel them as humans because they are uncertain. They're about the unknown. And they're usually a growth point. It's usually at a point where we're stuck in a place. We become too comfortable with the feeling of fear. And we've allowed it to keep arising and arising and arising. Well, how's that impacting your life? I know if I give in to my fear, I tend to limit myself and keep myself small and not go out as much. And so what do we do with the fear if we sit with it instead of trying to project it onto a story that's going round and round in our heads? Just sitting with it. It shows us that it's a sensation that we created, even though it feels so real. I don't want my fear to drive my life, to give me the agenda for the day. I don't want it to drive yours either. What do you need to do that you haven't already done? What do you need to let go of? What are you trying to hold on to? Because you think it might get bigger and scarier. And have you tried breathing, getting present, and sitting with the fear? I did that a lot with my grief in the beginning. Took the grief on a walk with me when I went to the park, took it for a cup of tea. And gradually, it's lessened. It hasn't gone away. I don't know if it ever will. But I know when it arises, I don't have to live there. I don't have to live in the story of grief. I acknowledge the sensation of the emotion. And I allow myself time to be with it. So it does lessen. And then I've got a space, got this incredible space instead of the pressure coming down from the fear and the anxiety coming up from me and it being like a flat sandwich. I have space. I have sacred space. I have space to listen to my wisdom, to know what to do, and to take the first tiny baby step. Wishing you a day without fear. And if you do have fear, wishing you a day where you can sit gently with it and watch it melt away. Doesn't mean it'll never come back. It means that you've got a way of looking directly at the fear and recognizing it's a somatic relationship with your body. Scary piece, sensation in your body. Don't let that be the story. Don't let it drive your life. Take care. You matter.